All right, guys, let's see what we can do here. Today we're going to be doing the tangent graphs, okay? And so similar, it's pretty much the same kind of idea as the sine and cosine. You have an a value times the tangent of the angle, and you have a b value multiplied to that angle, okay? And so basically there's a couple things you need to know. For the tangent, there's not really going to be an amplitude because if you remember, here was the graph of the tangent. How high does it go? Well, it goes on to infinity. How low does it go? Same thing, negative infinity. Okay, so there isn't an amplitude for the tangent, okay? But we will use the a in a second. But for right now, the period is pi divided by b, okay? And if you look at this one, say we just had the tangent of x, right? Y equals the tangent of x. What is b? b is 1, okay? So the period is going to be pi divided by 1, which is just pi. So that means if you look from here to here, right, what's the distance from negative pi over 2 to positive pi over 2? Okay, well, for instance, what's the distance between negative 1 to positive 1? It's 2, isn't it? Okay, so the distance between negative pi over 2 to pi over 2 is pi, okay? Again, if you're having trouble counting that, please come to office hours. All we're doing is the distance here is half of a pi. The distance here is half of a pi. 2 halves of a pi makes a whole pi, buddy. All right, so anyway, so that's why we have a period of pi, okay? And to get the asymptotes, and again, here are the asymptotes, right? We have these asymptotes right there. To get the asymptotes, all you're going to do is multiply, okay, by odd numbers, okay? You have pi over 2 times whatever the b is. It's pretty easy. I know this looks scary. You're like, oh geez, what are we, oh my God, I can't wrap my head around this. Don't worry about it. Once you see it in action, it's pretty easy to do, okay? And then you have these halfway points, and that's the a value, okay? And I'll talk about that in a second, okay? I think the best way to approach this is just to do an example, okay? I think most of this will make sense once we do an example. So here's my first example. We have y equals 3 times the tangent of 4x, okay? All right, so first things first, let's come up with the period, okay? So the period is going to be, right, the period is pi over the b value, okay? So this is going to be pi over, the absolute value of 4 is just 4, so the period is pi over 4, okay? That means that the distance for this whole thing, right, the horizontal distance there is pi over 4. So can you tell me then what half of that distance is? Okay, all right, so just think about that, okay? We also know that my asymptotes, okay, my asymptotes are going to be pi divided by 2b, okay? So my asymptotes are going to be odd multiples of pi divided by 2b. So it's going to be, let's just say, the first asymptote we're going to do is going to be pi over 2 times 4, right? Okay, right? Pi over b, that's pi over b, times 2, right? 4 times 2 is 8, so my first asymptote is pi over 8, okay? So watch what I'll do. I'll just draw my graph, okay? All right, and I know I have an asymptote at pi over 8, so I'm just going to put pi over 8 right here. Here's pi over 8. Okay, so basically just take this period and cut it in half, so you get pi over 8, okay? And then now multiply it by odd numbers, right? Multiply by odd numbers, okay? So what's pi over 8 times negative 1? Negative pi over 8, right? Negative 1's an odd number, right? Okay, so now here's my first set of asymptotes where I'm going to have a tangent graph in there, okay? All right, and what is the distance from negative pi over 8 to positive pi over 8? You guessed it, pi over 4. You see how all we did was cut that in half? Okay, split the difference, kind of? Okay, now let's do the next one. Okay, let's do the next asymptote. Okay, what would this guy be? Okay, well, multiply by odd numbers, right? So this is 1 pi over 8 Don't multiply by 2 because that's an even number. Remember, we're doing odd multiples, so multiply by 3, and guess what? 3 pi over 8. I swear, it really is that easy. Okay, and then go back in this direction. Multiply by -3. Oh my God, what could that be? -3 pi over 8. Okay, don't overthink it. All right. Now, the only thing we really have to do is kind of find midpoints, okay? So we know this guy right here, okay, is our midpoint, okay? And basically, we need to talk about this halfway points, okay? So I'm talking about halfway between here and here. This guy is my halfway point, okay? All right, and the halfway point is A, right? Well, what's A in this problem? A is 3. Okay, so watch this. I'm just going to put a 3 right here, and for that midpoint, or I'm sorry, that halfway point, it's going to be right there. Okay? Now, remember, if you look at our tangent graph, right? Here's my halfway point, and I put it, remember A is 1, so I go up to 1. But on the other side, it's going to be -1, okay? So let me go down here, -3, and watch this. Halfway is right here, and I'll put a point right here. Sorry, I got that negative cut off, okay? Now, before we just draw this, let's just tell me what this point is, or what this x value is right here. Well, it's halfway between 0 and pi over 8, right? So cut that in half. You get pi over 16. Okay, just cut it in half. All right, what would this guy be? So now it's important that we're labeling this stuff, right? Notice how I just sectioned it into 4 pieces, okay? Well, can you count by pi over 16? Here's 1 pi over 16, 2 pi over 16, 3 pi over 16, 4 pi over 16. What does 4 pi over 16 reduce to? Pi over 4. Okay. 5 pi over 16. Okay. 6 pi over 16. Doesn't 6 pi over 16 reduce to 3 pi over 8? Okay. So there's no mystery there, okay? And then going backwards, you just copy all these guys negative, in the negative direction, okay? I'm not going to do that just to save time. Okay, so watch this. Here I go. I have this guy right here. All right, there's my tangent. Notice it looks just like that guy. It's just labeled differently. That's because of my A value and my B value, okay? Let's do the same thing here. Here's the midpoint right there, okay? Here's my halfway point, so go up to 3. Here's my other halfway point, so go down to -3. And then just draw in your tangent function. All right, and I could do the same thing over here. I'll just label it, okay? Halfway, halfway. I'm not gonna label it. You guys can do that later. Here's my midpoint, okay? Here's my halfway point, so go up to 3. Here's my other halfway point, go down to -3. And just draw that curve, okay? And there we have it. We have the tangent graph. Y equals 3 times the tangent of 4x. All right, let's do another one, okay? All right, let's do one last example. Y equals 5 times the tangent of pi x. 5 times the tangent of pi x. Okay? All right, so here we go. Let's do the period. All right, remember the period is going to be pi over the b value. So the period is going to be pi divided by the absolute value of the b value. The b value in this case is pi, so pi divided by pi, which equals 1. Oh, this is going to be way too easy. Why am I doing this example? Just to show you, don't panic. It looks weird, but look at how easy this is going to be. Okay, let's do the asymptotes. Okay, let's do my asymptotes. Okay, and those are going to be odd multiples, right? Odd multiples of pi over 2 times the b value, which is pi, right? Which is going to be, these cancel, 1/2, and odd multiples of 1/2. All right, so here we go. Let's just graph this. Pretty straightforward. All right, check it out. Where's my first asymptote? It's at 1/2. I don't even have to measure this. I'm just gonna put 1/2 right there. Okay, and I'm gonna draw an asymptote. Okay, let's go back in this direction. Multiply that by an odd number. How about -1? That's an odd number. Look what you get, -1/2. Okay, multiply this by another odd number. Multiply it by 3. What do you get? 3/2. So, oops, here. So let me put my asymptote here. All right, here's my other asymptote. All right, here's 3/2. See how that works? Multiply by -3. You get -3/2. Let me put this over here. Okay, -3/2. All right, so here we go. Let's focus our attention here. Okay, we have our midpoint here. Now let's do our halfway point. What's halfway between 0 and 1/2? Cut it in half, 1/4. Okay, do this side, -1/4. Okay, all right, and at this halfway point, how far up do I go? Look at the A value, it's 5. So I'm gonna go up to 5 right here, okay, and go down to -5. Okay, so my halfway point, 5. Go backwards, my halfway point, -5, and now just draw it in. Yeah, buddy. We're cruising, look at that, okay? Now let's section this off, cut it in half, cut it in half, cut it in half, right? 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. What's 4/4 reduced to? 1. 5/4, 6/4, but doesn't 6/4 reduce to 3/2? See, it's just counting, okay? Go backwards, you could do the same thing there, okay? So here we go. I'm gonna put it in the midpoint, okay? And then here's my halfway point, go up to 5. Here's my other halfway point, go down to -5. And just draw your graph. Boom. I'm gonna do the same thing there. And that's basically how you're gonna do your homework, all right? All right, guys, if you need anything, I'm in office hours all day long. Always just waiting around for you to help you guys. Have a great one. Peace.